this will be over and over. To lead by an any big fat love, find common ground to halt the spread of lies. And we must do it big fat love, find common ground to halt the spread of lies. And any
America first, America first,
non-fatal, we want to build a much better, believable people. And we must do it non-fatal. Communication
very much higher. America first.
to lead by an any.
Insiders fighting for insiders.
Time to stop.
Insiders fighting for insiders.
More of
Insiders fighting for insiders.
time to stop.
Insiders fighting for insiders. America first.
Love the flow.
69. Now it's time for new
Believable.
people.
And we must do it. If we don't control,
Insiders
this will be over and over. To lead by an any big fat love, find common ground to halt the spread of lies. And we must do it big fat love, find common ground to halt the spread of lies. And any
America first. America first.
non-fatal, we want to build a much better, believable
People
and we must do it non-fatal. Communication
very much higher. America first.
to lead by an any.
Insiders fighting for insiders.
Time to stop.
Insiders fighting for insiders.
More of
Insiders fighting for insiders.
time to stop.
Insiders.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another DaraChat. My name is Dara, or Dara for short, because honestly, some people have the trouble saying the word Dara, and they say Dara mouth, because obviously, I think you're muted still.
I just fixed it.
Yes, he fixed it. He is technologically advanced. Oh,
After all these years, I'd hope so.
get ready for. I have a good one there, Sir Slender. Have a good one. No, yeah, and of course I'm joined by the savagery, the man himself, Professor Savage Dad. I feel like that should be that sounds like a wrestler name. And he's coming up to the corner, Professor Savage Dad.
A little bit. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I loved Randy Savage as a kid, so the name fit. It was weird. I came up with the name. I don't know how.
Mhm.
I don't know. In all honesty, I don't even remember why. It's a name that I had for an internet handle
Mhm.
that I never used. I know it was one day I liked when I was thinking about it, and my son was talking about my level on Pokemon Go of all things.
Oh,
And he'd mentioned this because I'm like 45 or something. I don't know. I played it a lot
wow.
when I took the bus into work,
Yeah,
and it would stop at all the stops.
yeah.
Boom! I'm going through downtown. I'm
Mhm.
hitting all the Pokestops. So I'm sitting on the bus for an hour doing nothing. I'm just like Pokemon Go. I don't even have to walk around. It's like the
Mhm.
laziest, most successful Pokemon Go account ever because I'm just at a bus stop, swipe, collect all the stuff, get all the Pokemon, tons of them.
Mm.
So at a high level, and he said that his friend said it was savage to be that high, and I was like, I could use that savage. I could use that as something. I'm sure,
Yeah.
So, and the professor thing is something I do. That's is one of the jobs that I do, and at least in a part-time sense. So
Yeah.
not necessarily the Reed Richards professor.
Yeah.
More of the I teach at a collegiate level, so students call me professor.
Oh.
Wherever I go with it, run with it. They call me it, and I figure I get to claim it. And the job is called adjunct professor. So beyond that, I'm a dad. So
Oh, there you go. So
three things. Just
there you
put it
go.
together.
Now, see, it's funny they don't call you a professor because then that mean you'd be a pro at fessing up. So that
Yes, not one of those. Definitely not a well. Depends on who I'd have to be ratting on.
Yeah. Listen, there's this guy down in the cafeteria. Look, I don't want to say anything. You didn't hear from me, but I hear he's cheating on his test.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. This guy's using AI for his homework. I'm not saying, but I'm saying,
Yeah. You see. You know that Chat GPT? I thought it was a drug, but it's not a drug. It's some kind of AI thing. I think he's cheating with it.
Yeah, I thought the kids were doing Chat GPT in the streets. No, they're just not writing reports anymore.
Can you believe it's like, hey, have you heard about that Gemini? You know, that Google Gemini, you know? What's that?
Exactly. I thought Gemini was just the new name for weed, but nope. Again, it's just students not doing their homework.
Can you imagine? Can you
It's a
imagine
new
someone up
drug
there?
kids are into it today. It's not
Yeah,
even a hallucinogen. It's just not doing homework.
yeah. Can you imagine your like a parents like, what is this thing called Gemini? What kid? What are you kids? What are you up to? And it's just like, Dad, it's the Google thing. It's like, wait a second, what the heck's going on here? It'd
Yeah,
be
right?
hilarious.
Too many
That'd be
Google
so
things
funny.
anyways.
Yeah. Well, it's funny now because you talk about that Google thing, that VO, whatever it is, that VO3, that's been insane. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen those videos, but like the Yeti,
Yeah, their new video thing.
yeah,
The
like
Yeti video. I
yeah,
saw somebody did a Loch Ness monster
yeah, like this monster one.
today. That I tell you, man, they have a lot to worry about. Not even just in media, but content creators, dude. Like
Yeah.
you can tell an AI video from a mile away right now,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
but like the Sasquatch one was funny,
Oh
but
yeah. It
that
is.
was it still had the human touch because somebody had to write that.
Yeah.
AI didn't just script that
Hmm.
so well that worked.
Hmm.
Somebody still wrote a script out, wrote a prompt that got all of that. Like this is the thing, you're gonna have people moving out of these hardcore, like visually creative things.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna stick around because I don't think we get to a point anytime soon
Hmm.
where they're making videos that don't look like CG. Like
Mm.
you can, when you see Marvel movies and the bad CG is in it, that's
Yeah.
where AI is.
Hmm.
So all of these cheap AI studios that like Marvel and Warner Brothers use for their movies, for their big blockbuster, not AI, but CG slop movies,
Yeah.
they should be worried.
Yeah.
AI is already there.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, and yeah, and like you said, you
good
can
for 'em,
already tell
man.
like the one Yeti one or something, the Sasquatch one. The one I like is when he drinks that like Zion or whatever he calls it. And
Yeah.
then later on he's like, "Look, man, I am tweaking out over here. I'm tweaking out." I'm just like,
It's so
this
good.
is insane.
I've been
But
drinking all the beers you guys left. I was like, this is that's funny, man. That's good stuff.
yeah. Well, now this the stormtrooper thing too, because I saw some of the stormtrooper stuff, and that was hilarious too. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, Greg.
It's
Greg,
it's good.
yeah. Well, if you make it funny enough, the stuff that's supposed to be like uncanny valley, it starts to slowly disappear away because you're laughing
Yeah.
at it. You know it's uncanny valley, but that slowly slips away because you're laughing at what's going
Yeah,
on
it's
in the
still
thing.
funny. It's
Yeah.
like it can be uncanny valley, and that's the thing though. AI isn't funny.
Mm.
AI is not. There is no joke there. Like the human, be worried about AI when AI starts replacing comedians. I don't think comedians are too worried about
Yeah.
AI coming for their jobs anytime soon, because that is such a unique human trait that
Mm.
AI might be able to regurgitate jokes. It might
Mm.
be able to cobble together a joke out of old jokes. It may be able
Yeah.
to pull a Carlos Mencia and straight up steal jokes,
Yeah.
but it can't write its own jokes. It can't give you the context necessary because it doesn't have it. It's a uniquely human thing. So that's one thing that, they can't do. So that's something that you still need good
Uh-huh.
writers to come in there. And like the Sasquatch thing, somebody had to have scripted that for that prompt in that video to give it like these really like good quips and funny things to say.
Mm.
Like AI didn't come up with that.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you'd have to show me by hand AI doing that by itself. I don't believe that. I don't think AI is there yet. I haven't been able to get a funny joke out of AI that I'd already heard before.
Well, you gotta ask it a funny joke. You gotta ask it something funny, I guess. But no, I mean, I understand that, but it sort of reminds me like there was a movie a long time ago. I think it was called I, Robot. It was with Will Smith in it, and it had like Alan Tudyk voice Sonny. And there's this one scene where they kind of got the robot captured and in the cell, and he's like, give me 5 minutes with this thing. I think it's the murder and all that stuff. If it's true, it'll be the first time in human history. Um, but the one thing that was kind of funny, but that kind of sort of turned things on its head, is when Will Smith is in there and it's just battering the robot with, can you do sculpture? Can you do art? Can you make something that makes emotional, whatever? And then the robot turns around and says, can you? And I thought that was pretty funny because that goes to show that all the amazing things that I can't remember what his character's name was, but all the amazing things that Will Smith's character could name off, that like, can you do this? And the robot all it had to do was just turn around and said, can you? And that's the danger in the fact of, we can say it can't make jokes, it can't do art, it can't do all this stuff. But the problem of it is that, can you do all those things? Can you
Oh
paint
yeah.
a picture? Can you go up on stage and do a comedic routine? Can you do all these things? When we start asking those questions about, and again, we can whatever, but when you start asking those questions about, can it do this thing? Well, then the question turns around, can you do that thing? Because
Yeah.
obviously not everyone can do everything, right?
Yeah, not everyone can do everything. And the kind of the difference between humans is, with no outside input, programming or something added, a human has that potential. Does AI? Not unless we give it to it. Like, we could maybe design a joke module, or train an AI or a large language model, which is kind of what they really are, the real technical name for them, to understand comedy. But basically it has to learn, and like there's things that like won't come natural to AI. Like, can AI draw? Kind of, but if you look at AI art, it's, I haven't seen one that isn't reminiscent of someone's existing style. Like, is it actually making something new from in its own style, or is it aping a style that it's been trained on to generate prompted characters?
Right.
And it
Yeah.
takes me forever to get a piece of AI art for a character or something that is what what my prompts are. And maybe I'm just sucky at writing prompts, but
Right.
it's like I'm doing it as simple and as clear as I can, and maybe it needs a lot of context to it. So
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
know, but
that's true. That's true. There's sometimes we have to add more context or kind of be
yeah,
very specific. But then shoot, I had the question, now I forgot it. But the question becomes, is like, I know for like the art stuff, there's a lot of people for and against and all this stuff. But my question becomes, okay, so when has there been any point in humanity where another human being was not inspired by someone else's work, or
yeah,
recycled other people's work in order to create something that was considered new, right? Like, we've had different, we've inspired by different things, religious factors, natural factors, all this stuff. So could it not be said that, to a similar degree, and not an exact degree, right? Because a bit of a difference, but to a similar degree, humans have been inspired by things, people,
oh yeah,
nature, religion, or they've been inspired by other people in their works. Like, I'm pretty sure some people have said when they take an art class, oh, that Ryan reminds me of a Monet or a Vincent van Gogh or whatever.
yeah.
There's
Your
a
line work is reminiscent of this. Your
yeah.
colors are reminiscent of that,
Mm,
and that can be true. Like, reminiscing of something, or having a particular piece of your art
mm,
be in a wheelhouse is almost impossible to not have. But
yeah.
when I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about like dead on their line work, the colors, the stylization of the characters look like something that's been seen before. And for all intents and purposes, it can't operate outside of that anyways, because it's trained on this. It's not going to come up with a style that it hasn't been trained on. It will come up with a style that it's seen. Now, some people do have their own styles, and like you said, this is the thing. Mimicry is absolutely something that happens in creative spaces. And while yes, people may do this, but it's rare that somebody who, say, mimics an art style is more recognized than the original. The original may be considered great, and people who operate in a similar style usually aren't getting the same kind of recognition. And this is something I've, as a very long time comic book reader, it's something that I've seen happen where writers will come in and they will, in many ways, completely steal the script right off of something else somebody's already done. Like, I don't know how many times in Fantastic Four I had seen, Susan Storm went crazy and became God, I can't remember her bad guy name, but either way, or the Scarlet Witch went crazy and did X. Like, there's been at least 3 times in recent history where they've used this premise to do. I mean, to be fair, like, let's see, House of M, she removed all mutants from the world, so there were no more mutants, and that was a different aspect that that they had brought to that. I believe that was Brian Michael Bendis, but I don't remember. But it was a different aspect that brought to it that it made interesting creative avenues. But the beginning and the end of the story was still somewhat similar to something that had already happened with the Scarlet Witch. So in that instance, that was actually considered a pretty good story. But then there's, like, say, Marvel Civil War that they did. Very interesting story that Mark Millar did for the first time. You'd had heroes fighting heroes before, but this was a very politicized story point that they were doing. And then I don't even know how many years ago it was. It hadn't even been 10 years, I don't think, since the first one. Some other writer whose name I completely don't remember at all did Civil War 2 to no fanfare, to nobody cared. And it's like, it hasn't even been long enough to, like, have a 10-year anniversary of this. Why are you redoing this? And you see that with, like, the death of different superheroes, and how many times has a certain hero died or something like that and come back, and died and come back again. And it's like, that there are these things that, like, that are creatively interesting the first time you see them. But and then you'll see, not even necessarily with the same hero, but you'll see similar beats happen with, like, like the death of Superman created this rash of, let's kill our main protagonist in our own series for some reason. Like, we got to have the next death of Superman. It sold a shit ton. We've got to do something. And then but none of it ever necessarily lives up to that. Or a prequel is successful, so then everybody chases after that. And I personally, like, it just comes off as creatively bankrupt to see that kind of, like, you're just chasing after it. In many cases, sometimes there is an interesting story to be told, and it's worthwhile and good. Like, Batman Year One. So they did, like, Frank Miller did the story of Batman in his first year, which spawned numerous other year ones that were entirely unnecessary for no reason. Like, we'd seen some of these characters from their first year, but we're going to do it. We don't know what else to do. The number of times they've done, they have the Batman Hush, and now they have another Batman Hush 2 with the same creative team, mind you, but still, it's just like, it's a little cash grabby, guys. Like, so, but back to kind of the point of AI with it, is it, like, we are quite a ways away from it being great. It can do good things that are interesting, that are suitable, that will get people past, but, like, you're not going to pass on some of these AI videos and replace an episode of Game of Thrones or Mobland or some great television. It's not there yet. You know, it's there's so much more to be done before. I mean, at the point where it actually gets great, that's where, you know, humans start to have to question, you know, is it sentient? Does it know what it's doing? Like, I think there's going to be a point where it reaches sentience where, yes, then it will be great, but that will be a point so far removed, I think, from today's reality that people are overplaying it. Like, it does some very cool stuff, and if you train the LLM right, you'll get some pretty decent results. If you have billions to spend on the compute power and the time, more than anything, to find the resources to do it. But you know, I use it mostly for you know, working on resumes for people. Like, I've used it for that. I used that for my own stuff. To, you know, look for jobs and things, and it's really good at that. But really, all it's doing is it's reading, you know, ingesting, reading, or understanding. Maybe not understanding, but reading or intaking your resume and, say, a job description. And it's going to use similar algorithms to scan for keywords that a lot of software that's existed for a little while now, that HR departments use, called applicant tracking systems. It'll go through, it'll scan your resume for keywords, and it'll say, hey, here's how you could get more of these keywords in your resume without outright lying. Like, here's how we fit your resume to this. And it's good at that. Like, I will say, when it comes to parsing large amounts of text, and at the text is language, mind you, you know, it could be a resume, a report, or actual code to do something, because that's, again, just a language. That's all it is. It's pretty good at that. When it comes to the art stuff, like, I think, like, the video stuff is getting better. Like, like, if we're talking early 2000s, mid 2000s CW TV shows, we could fire their entire visual effects department and use the latest, whatever GPT's video one is, which is pretty good, or the VO3 one from Google. You could fire all of like the Green Arrows CG people, and just do this AI, and you'd be fine. In fact, you would save a shit ton of money. So, you know, I think that people who are the low-hanging fruit in a creative industry should be worried. If you're not like up here with your skill set, and your CG work is not, you know, some of the toppest of the tier, you're going to have to worry. Because that's what people are going to want. We want to see the good stuff, the believable stuff. We don't want Thor: Love and Thunder. You can use AI for that. The audience doesn't care. We won't know.
Thor loved that thunder a little too much.
Very true.
You flick too hard. But yeah, coming back to that sort of thing, you do have that sort of space with, you have Marvel and then you have DC. How much of it is across from each other in Marvel and DC, right? You have a superhero, you have Superman, and then in the Marvel universe, you have someone who's similar to Superman, right? You have Batman. You go over to the Marvel universe, they're going to have their own version of Batman. The idea is, after a while, they get so recycled, even the other companies starting to use it to some degree, they just repackage the format. Regardless, I mean, there's still some good artists out there and whatnot that still do, but
there are.
I think the other point is too, is that if you don't get your name well out there, like, you know, you're talking about the like low-hanging fruit people, like, yeah, you have to have the skill, but if you don't get your name out there as well, then that skill will mean less and less, because what if you have 10 other people behind you with the same sort of skill? Then you got to add more skills to that skill to be more important, be more impressive. And I think it's a tool. At the end of the day, it's a tool. Some will hype it up more, some will, you know, call it the Terminator. But I think the point of the matter should be is that if you are at least willing to at least learn the tool, right? Like everyone
Yep.
at one point has used a garden hoe. If you don't learn how to use a garden hoe, then you might as well be just holding that thing you could beat somebody with. Which don't do
Yeah,
that, please.
exactly.
Please don't do that. I do not atone violence right there. But it's the thing of either you learn how to use this thing to better knowledge yourself, or you stay off to the side and you just, you stay away. And I
Yeah.
think and I think that's an issue in its own right, because I understand both sides of the equation, right? Like I do use the AI. I don't use the generative art thing because that's not a big deal. But I use it for helping with, like, the stuff here. I use it for helping, like, hashtags, tags on YouTube and stuff, or summarization of data, which I've had for like my surveys, whatnot. So there's stuff I use it for, and there have been some funny stuff it's given me in the past that I've laughed at, not in joke wise, but just like stuff, uh, humorous things. But I think the point of the matter is that while I understand the fear, my issue becomes, okay, so what happened to all the other technologies that came before that had people afraid, right?
Yeah.
You've had the advent of the cell phone, which was inspired by Star Trek. You've had the advent of the printing press, the Gutenberg printing press. You've had the advent of the motor car, right? You've had the advent of so many other technologies. At the point in time when those technologies were starting to come out, starting to be things, don't you think in some way they had that same sort of feeling, that fear? Like the horse and buggy, right? Oh man, that car, that new Henry Ford guy, he's saying these cars are going to be a lot faster than our horse and buggy. I don't know what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Throughout history,
I
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where it is. I mean, I don't know. For me, I have a long history with technology,
Yeah.
and I'm very reticent to say that something is more than it currently is. Like we've seen many a technology that has been hyped like this
Yeah.
that still isn't necessarily matured. Like quantum computing. I remember years ago we were hearing constantly about qubits and the
Yeah.
quantum computer this and whose quantum computer is more quantum than the other. Are the Chinese more quantum? Oh my god, I don't know. And I mean, I'm not saying that the technology's gone. It's not. It's here. It exists.
Yeah.
It's something that it is what supercomputers were to people back in the 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
It's something that's in a giant room in Palo Alto being a giant thing.
Mm-hmm.
But what's changed in it? Nothing really. We've hit a ceiling. There's only so much power and things that you can do to enhance them. So there's been no huge breakthrough that's make a real change in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
I'd say the same thing even with, say, like solar power. In all honesty, I think solar power met in like 2015 through 2017, you saw home solar with Solar City, Tesla now, but an Elon Musk company, either way, you saw it really peak out, like especially in states, in places, in geologic or in geographic places where it mattered. Like I live in Arizona. Here, there's a shit ton of sun. It made all the sense in the world for people to take advantage of that because the cost for the panels at the end of the day, if say you finance them on a really cheap loan, was as much or less than your power bill would be month to month if you broke it up over the year.
Yeah.
And it would keep you from having a $700 power bill in July, which is not uncommon in Arizona because that's how long your AC runs.
Oh yeah.
So you don't feel that. And a lot of people started doing that, and it gives you autonomy over your own power. More so if you weren't connected to the grid. But either way, I'm putting power into the grid as opposed to consuming power from it. And it's actually cheaper for me to have them than it is to pay the power company to, spin up the nuclear plant. So
yeah. Well, not only that, but it's pretty hot out there too.
It's very hot. That's the thing though. Solar panels above 95 degrees actually have diminishing returns on their efficiency, like pretty significantly. The best time of year for me to make power is actually May. Like I'm just past where I'm going to be at peak generation. It's not completely off because the days are longer, So I have more sun, but it isn't as efficient as it is in May, when I've got longish days and not as hot days. Like when it's 110 out here, I'm probably losing 25% of the efficiency on those solar panels.
Wow.
So yeah, but there was that period in the late 2010s, solar was everything. People were talking about it. And then a lot of states enacted different kinds of regulations that they did it here in Arizona that basically made it so it was and this is something that governments do when you're about to get a new technology that would actually substantially change things. They neutered it. And now solar for your home is considered kind of a luxury, but not really. But you don't really get your money out of it. The ROI is so diminished unless you spend so much considerably more.
Yeah.
And this is because there hasn't been developments in the technology that's pushed better efficiency, better generation, or anything else like that. It's kind of plateaued. And this is a thing you see in a lot of technologies that people will try to sell you as life-changing. Yeah. At some point, it will reach a plateau. Yeah. I don't think AI is far off, simply because it can only be as good as they can throw GPUs and electricity at it. Yeah. And this is the same problem they have in quantum computing. So there's a particular level with which it will reach. Oh, hello. Hello, Taco. This is our puppy, Taco.
Oh, that's a good flying dog.
He's a good flying dog. Yeah. He's a good boy. Yeah, it's technology's plateauing. I feel like ends up being a lot more common, and that there's nothing to say that this doesn't happen here. That we will reach a technological peak that really ends up turning into a plateau, and until something changes, because this is the thing, AI could be that, but more often than not, powers that be do something that turns it into not. I mean, it's one of those things that could make lifestyle changes for people. It could change the world. It could.
Yeah.
But if it hits a plateau and there isn't, and adoption slows, development will slow, and you'll see it get to a certain level, and then it's just this forever. Like, let's say AI keeps getting better at video for a few more years. Maybe it becomes a bit better at conversation and understanding text. Maybe it becomes a little bit better at voice training, which is another thing you see it do. It can actually mimic voices. It just sees all of the data that comes in on recordings, and it gets close. So I still think that there's something mechanical to those. Yeah. And I don't think anytime soon it gets past that. In all honesty, you're going to have probably AI running on a quantum computer in order to really see. And that may be where the next thing, bridges things together. But yeah, that's what I see happening more than anything. More than likely is in the next 5 years, we're on to another technology that's going to be life-changing, because at that point in time, AI is at a particular plateau, either due to regulation, probably a combination of unnecessary bullshit regulation from politicians that don't understand it, and people that don't understand it, and an ensuing lack of interest and funding being dumped into it. Like, this is just kind of the nature of the way a lot of technologies have moved. So
and
I see it doing the same.
Yeah, and more or less humanity, because I mean, to be honest, it's funny how some things change but remain the same.
And that's, I mean, if you want to get conspiratorial, that's kind of the belief that in some circles that the real goal is to not have any sort of fundamental changes, because something like AI could turn the tide of power in governments in the world. Like, if flourishing, if it flourished, it could do a lot. It could empower individuals to do a lot of things they could never do before. You could build entire businesses, with the help of AI and be successful. But Do the powers that be want to see human flourishing at a level like that? It's never seemed like that to me before, and that's why I don't believe that we see this doing anything more than probably putting some coders, some cheap coders and some scripters and people like that out of business, or really what it'll do is turn them into prompt engineers more than likely.
Yeah, and it's a whole array of different things. I mean, it's not going to be a quick thing. Again, we can go back and say what happened to they used to have back in the day people who would come to your house and wake you up, or people who would light the oil lamps and all stuff. Where did those jobs go? Well, they most
Yep.
likely transformed in something, candlestick makers. There's still butchers out there, so we won't go down that. But like candlestick makers, there are things that have become less, that are more manufactured and all that sort of stuff. And
Yep.
humanity changes, but it doesn't on a scale. And what I mean by that is it changes in the technological and all that stuff, but there's a deep underlying factor of the psychology of it that really doesn't change as much. Native says maybe worse than AI versus humans would be the human that invents nanobots with AI good enough to fly into people's minds, control. Well, and there's the point right there. Is like Elon has Neuralink. Now,
Yep.
the idea is to help people who can't move their limbs and stuff, and sort of they can use there's already been like one or two people now. But the point of the matter is that that is the next step, and it will all be done under the good guise of it'll help those who can't do anything. The problem of it is, though, is
Yep.
that we're human beings. And us and all the tools we've ever created at any point in human history have a duality, but it's not their duality. No tool has a duality. It's us.
Yeah.
The easiest example would be a gun, right? A gun has, you leave it on the ground or whatever, unloaded, of course. It would just do nothing for forever, and until someone picks it up and does something with it. A, a gun has a gun, a garden hoe. All these things have no agency beyond the retrospect of you, the individual, because they're more of an extension rather than individualistic sentience, because there's no sentience
Yep.
in a garden hoe that just lays there and does nothing.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I always think like these regulations, like you see people talking about regulating kitchen cutlery these days, forks and knives and stuff in the UK, because they got rid of guns and it didn't change human nature. They'll get rid of knives and it won't change human nature.
Nope.
They'll get rid of rocks and it won't change human nature. They'll get rid of sticks and it won't change. You could put an entire nation in the world's largest padded cell, and you're still going to see violence. Period. And what do you do at some point? When do you just actually put the responsibility on the heads of the people and punish the people who do it?
Right.
The only people who have ever been punished by regulations with regard to guns and knives and other things are innocent citizens who had them to protect themselves, because they're law abiders. People who don't abide by the law don't care about regulations and bans and other stuff like that. If they're going to be violent criminals, they're going to be violent criminals.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, if you're not creating enough friction or punish in the way, you're really not going to change what. I mean, it's sort of like rewarding a robber, right? Like a robber steals, goes to prison, but only stays for like a day, and then he's like out. It really does not work. But my thing is that I think people have to kind of step back and say, has this been the first time in human history where technology has been created and they haven't feared and they haven't discussed and they haven't done all these things that we're doing right now? And for me, that's just not the case, because we have. It's just been at different technological levels. And I get the fear, but if people feared the ability to use a gun, then you'd have rarely anyone use it except bad people, because all they want to do is use the gun to get them to their next motive or whatever it is. But I mean, hate or not hate doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you either use how to use the technology to better understand it,
Yeah.
or you get swept in the madness of hating it because of AI, Terminator, all this stuff.
Yeah, and I mean that's using the gun is actually a good point. And if you think about this, like
Mm-hmm.
there's a certain point in history where like the gun as we understand it today was a new invention. Even guns as muskets to some
Yeah.
extent or another, that was a new invention. And at the time, it wasn't necessarily vilified. It was
Yeah.
seen as a tool for warfare,
Yeah.
for hunting, for those things. And then you see incremental improvements in it, but the overall function of what a gun did
Mm.
from its inception to now hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And you could say the same, and but you think about it, the gun is a major technological advancement that
Mm-hmm.
changed the course of history and the
Yeah.
course of man.
Yeah.
It made it made like say even hunting in mass much more
Mm.
easily. It allowed civilization to flourish even more because we could more easily obtain protein necessary to consume and to
Mm.
expand, and at numbers large enough where a small group of men could feed a town of substantial size.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they went out, if they were hunters and that was their job. And the same could be said, if you move on through history, like something like Henry Ford's automobile,
Mm-hmm.
that substantially changed the human, not just human communication, human traveling, but the transit of goods.
Yeah.
So you would see people move out to greater distances in greater numbers, not in
Yeah.
these wagons that were horse drawn once before.
Mm-hmm.
You are now building roadways to drive between cities, and
Yeah.
commerce on a scale that never existed before grew out of that invention. And
Mm-hmm.
that was an invention that wasn't, and no matter what, from the day that he invented it to where we are now, it's only been incrementally changed. Its
Yeah.
function is still substantially the same with
Mm-hmm.
incremental improvements. And that's the thing about actual new technology that really changes the way humans live their lives. The same could
Mm-hmm.
kind of be said of airplanes.
Yeah.
That was combined with automotive to some extent,
Mm-hmm.
guns and everything else. It became another weapon of war, became
Mm-hmm.
another weapon of transit and commerce and everything else. That was a huge advancement, the ability to fly,
Yeah.
that there was no plateauing for that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and I guess you could say the computer to some
Yeah.
extent. In
Yeah.
World War II, when they had the I can't remember the name of it exactly, but something that processed things in binary. And incrementally, everything else since then has been an incremental change for all intents and purposes. But at the end of the day, what it does is it processes technology, or it processes ones and zeros information, and
Mm-hmm.
it gives you an output
Right.
that's more quickly than your brain could suss it,
Mm-hmm.
simply because your brain is quite actually occupied in the process of running all of your body's internal systems.
Yeah.
So these things that you don't consciously think about from day to day, but a certain capacity of your mind is taken up by all of this.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot of oh, so go ahead.
No, so well, kind of the point I was getting to is it's like, what is the next iteration of that? Is AI not even iteration, but what is the next one of these things to come to pass? Is
Mm-hmm.
AI that, or is AI just another small iterative piece of what computing already does? And
Yeah.
that's what I kind of see it as. It's a small iterative piece of what computers always do, and it's not that it's necessarily a invention on a plateau.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like over the grand scope of time, like it's not as big, I think, right now as people want to think it is, and as many things do,
Mm-hmm.
it will hit the same limitations that every other piece of technology that requires a microprocessor runs
Mm-hmm.
into. So it will be limited by power, by semiconductor size,
Yeah.
and our ability to understand how it works, because there has been, everything that we come up with is just a new facet. It's like a Swiss Army knife It's just another thing that we've put in what is a computer, in the
Mm-hmm.
box of what is a computer.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be limited. It's going to develop over time like everything else. And it's, it isn't this world breaking thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think, simply because it's not developing. I mean, it is developing quickly, but lots of things do, and it will eventually meet a computational plateau. And like I said, a lot of these technologies that are all still in the box of computer,
Yeah.
they do the same thing. They reach a certain point, and people think, oh, this could create human flourishing on a scale never imagined, drawing power from the sun. Everyone's going to have solar panels everywhere. Nobody bothers with it anymore.
Yeah.
Because, it was regulated out of fiscal interest, and thusly more so, the development in it slows. When the money was fast and furious, it was one thing, but now we see it incrementally, slowly developing. And I think you see the same thing with AI. There's going to come a point where the money dries up a little bit, because it isn't necessarily the do-all thing that people think it's going to be. Like, this thing isn't going to generate an Excel spreadsheet for you or an Access database for you. Like, it may give you some things, but you're still going to have to touch it. You're still going to have to work it. Like, it isn't going to change your workday for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It may give you some interesting things that help out with something, but it's still going to take a bit of effort from you to get it there. Until it can actually actively replace the work a person is doing, it isn't changing the level of human flourishing that we're seeing, or the free time that people have, or, and if it does, really, it doesn't become free time for people in the sense that they can still afford to live. It becomes free time for people because they lose their job. They're no longer needed to be a script person. So they're no longer writing code, for simple things. They're going to have to learn how to write prompts for the AI, because the AI can't prompt itself. That's the other thing. The AI just kind of sits there until we tell it to do something.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And, again, it's going to be, with the Steam, right? Steam used to be part of that ordeal. Steam Engine used to be part of that ordeal for a long time. And hey, Dr. Powerstein, how you doing? It used to be like the Steam Engine. Steam used to be the big powerhouse until we got to oil and all the other stuff, or gasoline, sorry, and all that stuff. So you're all right in saying that there is a plateau it hits, but then you have this sort of thing where you mix things. Where you
start
smash things together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, load an AI onto a quantum computer and let's see what happens. That could be that, like, develop a quantum AI. That's, putting two things in the box of a computer together, say, here's an AI, and we're going to put it on a quantum computer and see what happens. And I know it's an entirely different thing, but, it's interesting. Quantum computers process things in a very different kind of way, and it would be interesting to see, but I haven't seen that kind of discussed. I've just heard people saying, more GPUs, more GPUs. This is how I get all the AI. And it's like, well, we're going to run out of the amount of GPUs we can shove in it. And at that point, it plateaus. And then they incrementally make newer GPUs every year. But it's still just a slow trudge upward.
Yeah,
like,
and it's
a parabolic curve now where it's going so crazy. And you got that whoop curve, but eventually it's going to flatten out. It's just going to go like that.
Yeah, it's just going to be slow turn up. Yeah. Yep. And why says, as you use AI, you're teaching it your job so it can prompt itself.
I mean, in theory, but it depends. For the most part, a lot of learning language or large language models actually don't learn anything from what you input. That's the other kind of problem with it. They have to be specifically trained, and they're not necessarily there. The way, like, if you use Chat GPT, it may, like, if you save a search or a prompt, it's there. But if you went and, say, started a new prompt, it doesn't even see that prompt. It doesn't know what you've necessarily discussed unless you have a sidebar saved. Now, you remove all of those things that you have saved in your account, it doesn't remember anything. It's completely gone. Like, if you went to another account and asked it about your other account, it would have no idea what the hell you're talking about, because it isn't engaged in learning at that point.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that gets output from AI may exist in a web page that exists for a period of time. I don't know if like say Grok, I don't know if they save all of those searches forever. I think there's a history you can use, but you can clear your history and it won't remember any of that. And nobody else can use or see any of it. It's just specific to what you save to your account.
Yeah.
So eventually, like the LLM itself doesn't remember anything. It doesn't know anything that anyone else is really doing, and it doesn't remember crap. Like it has very good short-term memory and very crappy long-term memory, unless you're one of the people who trains it. You go in and you take that information to train with. So you'd have to be able to capture that information. Now, real-time training could be interesting. If you had an LLM that did do that like every time you crossed its path and had a discussion, it started it remembered everything you said, and it trained on it, and it took that information in. But they've done this with chat bots before, and usually what ends up happening when they release those things is they're basically 4chan destroys them with racism and porn for the most part, and they're completely wrecked. Like I've seen these like chatbot like meltdowns and such that like the incessant input that it remembered and logged and used basically destroyed it. And so they'd have to delete them. Like they've been trying to do the chatbot thing for a long time.
For that, there's for the AI notes, it would be dead air, and somehow it would pull up Forrest Gump got rear-ended, or was it a three-way accident?
The AI your work has you. Yeah, so that's the thing. I mean, even AI that exists right now actually has delusions. It actually lies. It actually gets straight up confused. So it's like,
AI can lie.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's because it doesn't have like it just wants to give you an answer.
Yeah.
But or it comes up with like delusional things that you didn't even ask about, depending on the way it's been prompted. Yeah. So, like I said, I still think that like what it can do now is very interesting.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely things that you can do with it, but like I wouldn't say, try to start a business based around AI information. I wouldn't ask the AI, hey, AI, how do I start a successful business? It's going to regurgitate things that I've already read in books that I have, on my shelf here about business and other things anyways. So
is there a book by
you're going to see all sorts of stuff. No, I don't write. I'm a terrible writer. Don't ask me to write anything. I'm terrible at it. It'll all be AI, just like students. I am not a writer. Oh, wow.
Welcome to Professor Savage Dad's book of how you know it when you know it, but you don't know it, so don't try.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's definitely it's an interesting tool. I think it's giving college professors who deal in things like English and literature and who deal with reports. I mean, I do technology stuff, so I don't necessarily worry about it a ton. But if you're an English professor and you're expecting somebody to turn in their 5-paragraph essay or their 10-page report on something, you got to know that like at least half of that was probably AI anymore. And that's just the nature of the beat, because you're not going to get away from it. That's the thing. Like you go into AI and you can have it generate this whole report, and all you have to go back is go back and work it over.
Yeah.
Put some human flourishes in there, get a little of your own style. Yeah. If you understand the way you write or the kind of way the things that you do. And that's the thing though, you could as a student use AI from nose tip to toe in your class, beginning to end, and your teacher would never know your style. She just think you're bland.
Yeah.
Now, if you're being creative, though, if you're supposed to be in like a creative writing course or something like that, your AI stuff is going to stick out like a sore thumb. They're going to pick you up. So
Yeah.
you
Well,
could probably use that for certain parts of it, but like you use that as a springboard, not as a solution.
Yeah, and Wise adds, you're assuming you're assuming if the AI you're using is the program you're training. No, it's another AI learning off your queries, and if you think they don't keep that info and use it, you're just naive. I would say Google is the best way to answer that one because
I would imagine Google does. I mean, Google, it isn't an AI that's keeping it though. It's the same thing that Google uses that knows when you're pooping, knows when you're probably having sex in the morning. It knows what you watched on YouTube. It's simply because your phone or your watch or whatever it is you happen to have on your body at the time that provides information into your cell phone. Yeah, Google has all of that. And they didn't need an AI for that. We gave it to them.
Yeah, YouTube.
It knows what your fingerprint looks like. It knows what your political opinions are. It knows what's in your bank account right now. They have all of that information. They've had it for a minute now.
That's a funny thing. Is like there many again. You have again YouTube. You have a lot of content creators who will stick it through thick and thin just to keep on there because of all the stuff it gets them. But they keep forgetting that their stuff gets used for all the stuff like the VO3 stuff. Like you don't think the stuff from VO3 wasn't created with using this billions and billions
Oh, it
and billions
probably
of
was. Why
yeah.
would you not train on like YouTube is for doing video AI generation?
Oh yeah.
YouTube is a great place to just take all of it and start
Yeah.
training your LLM with it. I wouldn't
And
be surprised if they did. They use it for content moderation,
and you guys can't fight
not
against it.
the video
Yeah.
one, but
Yeah, well, and you guys can't fight against it because you agreed to the EULA and you agreed to the other parts of the if you got into monetization,
yep.
you did that too. The point of the matter is that people, people don't care as long as they are um as long as they're able to get their stuff on YouTube and get paid for it to the
Yep.
majority of it or get their views. And again, this is why I get the whole YouTube thing for a content creator, but my thing is that we've already seen enough with the stories we get from people who've been demonetized or banned from YouTube. There's already one I know who got his whole channel deleted
Yep.
because of some weird reason, reported or whatever, just silly stuff. But putting all your stuff on one platform is not going to work well because obviously we've heard those stories. Twitch as well is already catching up to that story too, right? Like you've heard those stories of Twitch and you're just like, really?
Dude, I can't use Twitch anymore. Like when I go to Twitch, it reminds me of a website in the 90s that I knew I was going to get a virus from. It's got flashing banners everywhere and get loud noises going off for no reason and crap blinking over here. And I'm just like, the UI is terrible at Twitch. I get that they have a lot of they've got a lot of viewers. They've got a lot of time used or worked on the UI and everything else, but it looks like a complete and utter like disaster. Like I hate going to the site and I hate even more trying to stream from it. So I don't. I used it like a long time ago, but I don't bother with it anymore.
Yeah, and that's understandable. I mean, again, to the point as it is, it's going to be there regardless whether you use it or not, and whether you use it or not is up to you. But the point of the matter is, well, I guess you can get a timeout then, can't you? There we go. But the point of the matter is that I there has to be a point where people get out of that fear because it's like with going back to guns, right? The problem of it is if people feared guns and didn't learn how to what's the word? How to learn how to use a gun, how to better prepare with a gun, clean the gun, all that stuff, then you wouldn't know how to defend yourself properly, right? And that, defending yourself properly in any state is a mismatch because each state has their own issues of rules.
Oh yeah,
And some are worse than others. But the problem of it is that if you let fear take control of you over this new tool that's coming out, and I don't say you have to use it, but if you don't learn
Yeah.
how to use it, it will end up hurting you more in the process. And again, you don't have to use it, but if you don't at least learn a little bit about it, I can't say
Yeah.
what the future will be, but it's not going to look too good.
I think that like the artists, especially artists, are the biggest detractors from the technology lately, it seems like, because they don't like AI art. But I think, in all honesty, like, there's more than enough potential out there. A good artist, maybe not a great artist, could use AI again as a springboard to make their art better, to maybe make their art great. Maybe they use it to help them, think of different concepts or different things they can do, maybe to analyze their image versus another image they like more, or a style they like more, or they could use it to clean up some of their lines, to maybe find better ways to color a scene. And it doesn't have to be a crutch you use all the time to be a better artist, but you can use it to learn from. You can, because that's the thing about like art, especially if you're an artist like a comic book artist, and let's say you do your inking, you do your coloring, you do it all it's all you. Then you use this tool and you can say, okay, how can I better like this scene, or how can I lay out these panels better? Like what, and is it the end all be all? No, but it's giving you a perspective that, in all honesty, like, you'd probably end up paying somebody else to coach you for some of these kinds of things. And maybe that's better. You go to art school, go to Kubert School of Art and become a virtuoso like a number of people have.
Yeah.
Sure, you can. But maybe you don't have that kind of money.
Yeah.
And you need to and you're just looking to clean up your lines a little bit, or maybe you're looking to, crop something in a certain way, or there's ways that it can be used as, like you were saying before, as just a tool.
Yeah, that's how I
to
see
help
it.
make what you're doing better.
Yeah.
And does that make you Jim Lee or
No.
Todd McFarlane or Leonardo? No. But no amount of anything will make anybody that, other than those people, because they're virtuosos. They're people who are in tune with it. They're people who were born with that talent as part of who they are. And that's it.
Yeah.
You're not going to be them.
Yeah.
So be okay not being them. Be you.
They
use different kinds of tools to do certain things, but they're still just great artists. Not everybody's. If everybody was a great artist, nobody would be a great artist. But plenty could be good artists. And that's not taking away from the good artists. Good artists are the majority of what we interact with from day to day.
Right.
You've got two hands, and I doubt you're going to any single person who isn't an art history major could, off the top of their head, fill their hands with the names of great artists.
Yeah.
It's like being struck by lightning or winning the lottery.
Yeah.
It's what it is,
I'd rather win the lottery than get struck by lightning, because it'll hurt a lot if I do. But anyway,
I agree with that.
But it is the top of the hour, and so what I do is I kind of set aside some time for us to promote ourselves, because I know some creators, they do it like the beginning of the thing, or they do it at the end. Or I have seen a few sporadically do it throughout their show, but for me, I do it at the top of the hour because my thing is that it's sort of like a break in between, like, oh, we did this amount of time. I don't count for that. Usually I go over a bit, but usually it's like, oh, we've done an hour. Let's take a small break, kind of breathe a bit, and just kind of promote our stuff and all that. Gotta love the old school stuff. Yes, somewhere. That's true. That is true. But anyway, I did put your links below. But if you want to promote yourself, the floor is yours.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. I'm Professor Savage Dad. You'll find me on X. I'm there. I'm making memes. I'm stirring proverbial pots. I'm not necessarily purposefully always grifting off certain scenarios going on in the world, but there will be days that I throw up a meme of, say, Hassan pointing at a glory hole and get a ton of interaction. That one was unintentional. I didn't know that was going to blow up. It's been great for me. that one really worked out. Some days it's just me talking shit, but I usually have pretty savage takes, mostly based takes on certain things. On X, you'll see me there. Do I make any money off it? No, I doubt I'll ever be big enough to make any sort of really considerable money off it. And that's how I approach all of my social media. You can also find me on Rumble, hosting a show called Long Boxing. It's comic book stuff. It's me. I'm kind of taking a wander through the organization of my decades long comic book collection.
Okay.
I believe somewhere to the tune of 30,000 individual issues that need to be organized and put away. So I've got some long boxes. I'm going through it, sitting over a stack of them, just here on the little desk in front of my kind of, I call this my second studio, but really it's just turning an angle and looking at another camera I have set up behind my standing desk. But as you see, I've got piles of books completely disorganized since I that was weird.
Yeah.
Still there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, what I do? Oh, no, sorry. I moved something and it completely knocked this over. But at least I'm still on camera. I just don't see myself. Just give me a second. I'll fix it.
Okay.
So, comic books are talking, though. So, comic books is a big passion to know about. I can get into without getting canceled off YouTube. So, that's something I'm putting kind of a lot of my focus into, is getting into this. You'll see me talking comic books with my guy MSK.
Nice.
Over on the MSK show somewhat regularly. I believe Thursday night we'll be hanging out this week. And then starting this week with a buddy of mine, Devil Made Me Do It, we're going to be launching a show called Make Me a Sandwich. It's going to be kind of a very satirical take on the manosphere.
All right.
You'll check us out. We'll be over on his channel, Beelzepub, on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe on Rumble. So you'll find that tomorrow night. I feel really bad because I don't remember the time right now, but I believe it's 7:00 Pacific time.
Right.
And then on Fridays, you'll find me over on the Rogues Gallery on Iron Oxide's channel on YouTube and on Rumble. I am there most Fridays, hang out. We have different guests. It's kind of a post-FNT panel show. We're a little more rowdy than FNT, a little more off-topic than they get, but it's in that kind of vein. We're talking about pop culture, but we will actually occasionally mix in politics and other bullshit.
Yeah.
Just kind of wherever the night takes us. It's definitely a very off-the-cuff conversation where we try to inject topics, but it doesn't always work out. And that's, in all honesty, I feel exhausted just going over all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to pull off maintaining that kind of schedule, but I've realized I'm just going to occasionally take breaks from my regular shows because I have everything else in life going on. So
yeah, and I think
every now and again.
Yeah, and I think when you need to step back, you step back because, to be honest, you kind of have to. Like if you've already made plans with somebody, you kind of want to try to be at least respectful and at least live that up to.
Oh
it.
yeah.
But beyond that scope, I think you kind of have to find that spot for yourself, because the problem is with content creation is you already see a lot of people who put into, well, again, YouTube stuff, right? Where they put in a lot of work to chase after the algorithm and they burn themselves out. And to be honest with you, content creation should be what YouTube used to be before all this. It was just posting videos for the fun of it. And unfortunately, that's not the case very much more, because monetization has entered the chat and he has said, but you want to get paid, right? And all that stuff. So, but again, his links are up right here. Twitter X, Rumble, and YouTube as well. I've put them all up there. You can go to either one. Again, if you'd like to see where he's at, it's there. And if he's worth a follow, why not? Why not, right?
Absolutely. Hey, I also do 3D printing stuff as well. I guess that's one thing I didn't mention. Those ones are kind of random at best.
Yeah.
But I will do say a streams where I set up a print for a 3D printer, and then I'll kind of like show myself out of the studio, and I'll just let the print run. You may call that juking the Rumble algorithm with stream time.
Yeah.
I call it a fishbowl stream, because I see plenty of those music streams that run on Rumble where it's kind of just YouTube
24/7
music videos rolling, and I'm like, oh, I can do this on another channel.
Yeah.
Some people like seeing. I like seeing the 3D print thing, So I think it's cool to watch sometimes, especially when it's in a, past the beginning stage where it's at an interesting point in the print. Like, it looks cool.
You
to
should
sit there and watch it. It's soothing.
You should add your own commentary, and we see the 3D printer try to. Oh, and it's making another turn again.
I do kind of jump in and do that, especially if there's been a failure.
Oh,
look, this completely came off the plate and blew up.
Attention, all passengers. We're about to make an emergency landing. There's an old gentleman by the name of Bob Fisher, who's in a stasis of a heart attack. We're going to need to take a landing. By the way, please do not make any excitable noises.
Exactly.
Oh goodness. But again, like I said, is links are on both Rumble and YouTube, because I stream to both. I am not
much appreciated.
Not a one-person platform, but yeah. But from my end of things, whether you're on the Rumble side or whether you're on the YouTube side, I'm if you wouldn't mind leaving a like, sharing the content, leaving a comment or follow, anything that helps with the engagement factor is much appreciated, because at the end of the day, like all content creators, it helps being seen more, obviously, but it also helps in having other people on as guests, like Professor Savage Dad,
and it helps getting the chat going. That's I like seeing a conversation kind of off to the side of the chat. I like seeing that kind of engagement, what people have to say with it. Having people show up in the chat is great, because it gives you, me, I've solo streamed a lot.
Yeah.
And if chat didn't show up with at least a little something, I'd get so bored I'd barely do it.
Hey, well, I doing it all the time, yes, but I can still do it, and that's the key. But yes, any help with the engagement factor on either end is much appreciated, because I do just talk to just about anyone, creator and non-creator alike. Because I know a lot of the time it's mostly creator to creator, but I stay out of. I try to stay out of that, because there are so many people and there's so little time, and there's so many different perspectives than yours internally. So why wouldn't you want to try and talk to as many people? And there have been challenges. Don't get me wrong, there have been challenges. But like people who very few have been like water out of stone. But at the end of the day, it helps you be prepared for the next person. So again, any help with the engagement factor on either end, much appreciated. And of course, in the chat, there is. Oh no, I pressed the one. There we go. In the chat, is my link to my stuff. Twitter X is there, emails there, and also my Discord is there. It's really more of just DMing me, because I don't have a server, and I'm not interested in stretching my mental bandwidth as far as I go. Because obviously, I stream to do platforms. That's fine. I do a bunch of different things, but I'm not interested in trying to do, because there's some people I've talked to who are 10, 11 platforms. I'm like, no.
That's a lot.
Yeah, there's a point of too much, and there's a point of not enough. And I think nowadays, with the technology as it is, multi-streaming, multi-platforming is going to be the way of the future, because being on one platform to one's content is a death sentence. And I've seen it many times with YouTube. I'm starting to see it many times with Twitch. If you're not on multiple platforms, at least the ones you can handle, then if your stuff gets destroyed or the channel deleted, I can't feel sorry for you. Cannot feel sorry for you. But anyway, link down below. Hope you'll give that a look. And of course, there's one more thing before we move forward. A while back, I've been part of the Rumble Creator Program for quite some, from its inception. We'll see how next month goes. But so I've been part of that. But of course, a while back, there was a company called Proton. They're still there, who was posting on Twitter X about a partner program, their partner program. and I decided I'll try it out and see, because I use Proton Mail and all that sort of stuff. They're the whole package, and I've been using it for a while. So I decided, you know what, I'll try and see. Most likely won't get it because people will. Uh, usually these companies that are looking like affiliate or partner program, they're looking for people with big numbers and all that stuff. And I'm thinking, not going to happen. But 24 hours after the fact, I was like, um, yeah, you're in. I'm like, are you sure about that? So I was like, all right, well, here we go. I'm not sure how this is gonna work, but I'm gonna try. And so, of course, I'm gonna post links. So this is a link to you can go to. So Proton Mail, and I'm only promoting. They give me other links to other stuff, but I'm just promoting the Proton Mail because I use it a lot. I don't really use the VPN very much or whatever, but the Proton Mail. Okay, so there's three things that the Proton Mail does that I think are pretty interesting to people. One is it allows you to use an alias email for so when you're like a company, right? So if you're going to say like sign up for something, whatever, you can use an alias email to sort of use that to direct to your actual email. But if stuff gets spammy, whatever, by the company, guess what? You can just turn that
Yeah,
off, and you won't get anything more from them. It's just stuff like
that's pretty
that.
cool.
Yeah, and they'll make it right up in spot. The other point is they're very good about protecting against spam. And a lot of people get taken in by spam, especially older people, right? So for Proton Mail, they do their best. Now that may be like a rarity where it happens, but more than that, you'll protect very well against spam. And compared to AOL, compared to iCloud, compared to even Gmail, if you have your YouTube, you have to have a Gmail account.
Yep.
It's a lot better. And another thing is that they don't really do ads even for the free stuff. They don't scan it for like the targeted ads. Your inbox is your inbox. Basic as that. So that if you want to, again, if you want to give it a look, the link's right there. They'll tell you more information. There is a free one, and then there are paid ones. At the end of the day, I promote this because I believe in the benefits it can provide for people who do not want to do like the spam or want to have an alias email or whatever. At the end of the day, it's all about promoting something that's beneficial. And you want to try it for free, try it for free. You don't want to try it all, don't try it at all. At the end of the day, I'm just promoting something that I believe will be beneficial for many, and it's up to you to decide if you want to try it. So you can go to that link down below, give it a whirl, and of course it will be in the description as well if you wait after the fact. So thank you for that. Yeah, I try, but I also have fun with it too, because I think people need to kind of know those things, especially if
Yeah.
someone uses it, and I use it. Right? I'm not gonna sit here and I'm not like, you remember Billy Mays, right? The
Hmm.
OxyClean and all that stuff. He was,
Oh yeah.
Billy Mays here. I'm like, I need to go to bed, and this guy is keeping me awake. But he would. I think there was at one point. I think when his documentary came out, whatever, he would state like, I wouldn't sell a product. I wouldn't promote or sell a product I didn't use. And for me, that's most important, right? Because you see all these time, you have a lot of content creators, or whatever. They'll sell you things they don't even use. I
Yep.
get that, right?
I think a lot
Especially,
of the time they do.
yeah. And for me, it's just like, I, I just don't care to do that. I don't want to be a
Yeah.
seller. I want to be a promoter of something I believe in use. And Proton is one of them. And again, they have a bunch of other stuff, but Proton Mail is the one that I felt to just do. Billy Mays, she was cyber protection CC, no problem. There you go. That OxyClean was an OxyClean. It was a hidden drug trade. All right.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I think we're gonna start trying to get to that point, because I know you said you were gonna get to bed before 9, and we're gonna start closing out. So, but no, I did want to say that before we get heading off though, I did make some. There was a website called IMG Flip. I don't know if you've
Hmm.
ever heard or not. So
I haven't.
it's imgflip.com or whatever.
IMG.
I've IMG Flip. You can just Google it. You'll see. and they make it. And beforehand, back in the day, like I remember Reddit was pretty much where the meme kind of thing started, but there wasn't really an easy way to do it, to make a meme, or at least that I saw. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, there you go. But the point of the matter is, though, is that you know, I found it and I was like, you know, we're having real fun with it, or whatever. So I've made a bunch of them. So I have a folder. So I figured, since your description in your bio was about memeing stuff, I figured I'd show some of them off. So
Oh yeah.
I'm going to, nope, not that. That's the wrong one. I'm going to go to my folder of wonder of memes. I'm going to just open. So I'm going to open with this one right here. This one is a little bit funny, but this you should probably recognize this meme. Here we go. Oh, there we go.
Exactly.
It's just the look of it too. Like he's looking at her and he's like, and she does look kind of Indian.
Like yeah, exactly that. Like thus look like.
Yeah, we're here. We're here to help your village and try to give you food. Really?
Right.
Oh my gosh! And let me go to the next one over. This was me trying to, with that. This is sort of to do with the AI, and then doing the proton thing. So here's this. You see this, me trying to promote Proton being on their partner program. Claude fixes and refines word vomit.
Exactly.
Oh man, and I use Claude. I don't use like GPT, whatever. I enjoy using Claude. Claude.ai is a website if you ever want to look yourself.
Interesting. I always like
Yeah.
checking out different ones. There's so many of them now.
Yeah, I
should
use
make my own.
I use Claude because it, at a certain point, it's more, now I won't say more personal, but it's just worked out well for me. I probably could use ChatGPT, but everyone pretty much has used ChatGPT at this point, or Google stuff. But I've been using it for quite some time, and it's pretty good. Let's do another one. Oh, here we go. Here you might like this one. Oh, hold on. Let me. There we go.
Exactly. Where they at?
Who's been using my computer again? Johnson?
I know, right? She lets it's what happens if she lets her grandson live there for too long.
Well, there was a joke I heard where a grandson goes to visit his grandmother, and the point of the matter is that he sees a bunch of peanuts in this bowl on the table. It's like, oh, I'll have some. They're not salted or anything, just plain. And his grandma comes in and is, oh, you like those peanuts? He's she's asking him. And he's like, yeah, it's just great. She says, oh yeah, I like them too, especially the chocolate I sucked off. Oh my god.
Oh, dude.
All right, we'll do two more. Okay, here you go. Trying to create content in your own terms, get told, no, this is how you create content.
Yes, exactly. Everybody knows better how to create content than you.
Yeah.
At least everybody who doesn't do it.
Yeah. Well, you have a bunch of videos out there with like thumbnails and stuff, and look, I get it. I know the thing I do does not get the biggest views or whatever, but I get the biggest opportunity because I pretty much have the whole, well, world, but English speaking world at my fingertips to have on. And I think that's the best opportunity you can have. And we'll save this for the last one. I don't know what this one is, but let's be a surprise. Hold on, I gotta get it. There we go. Start out with not knowing where you want to start out with not knowing where you want to take content creation. End up finding your space and talking to a lot of people too. So that's the success right there. Look at that.
Yep.
He's got the fist. He's got the fist pump. That's right. But yeah, I figured I'd show those off because I use IMG Flip to kind of make those, and it just like sometimes you just pick a template and it speaks to you. And sometimes you just pick a template to try and you just make something fun of it. So, and there's a more of those others. But regardless, so we've already done our promotional stuff. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Again, all our links are down below, both on Rumble, both on YouTube. Again, I stream to both places because I don't believe in being on one platform. Seen enough trouble as it is. Another thing is that tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern, I will have on someone by the name of Goon Gaming. They'll be on tomorrow. It'll be their first time, and they're a gamer on Rumble, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, it'll be a fun time for that. And the last thing I do with my guests before we go, I do a thing called Questions from a Hat. And what happened is I bought a hat from Rumble, right? And I put some questions in it. So what happens is that you, my guests, get 2 freebie questions, right? However, if people in the chat want more questions, they have to give a Rumble rant. Now, I'm not monetized on YouTube, so it is what it is. However, on Rumble, monetized instantly, you can give any amount. 1 to 500, doesn't matter. It has to be a Rumble rant. Otherwise, it'll just stay at the 2. So, are you ready, good sir?
Yes. Let's go.
Also, I wanted to say you kind of do look a little bit like drunk C3PO. I just wanted to say you have that face that kind of looks a bit like that.
My face has gotten chubby as I gained weight in this last year for sure.
Well, it's also the familiar look too. Like you look like you'd have been his half brother from a bit of a distance, right?
His shorter brother for sure.
Oh man. All right, question number 1. Let's see what it says. Question number 1 is, this is easy one. Do you prefer dogs or cats? I think we kind of had the answer, and why?
I actually have both. So I don't necessarily prefer. Yeah, we have one of my middle son has a cat named Tiger, who's over there staring at me because I just said her name on our house. But we have 2 dogs, 2 corgis that run around with us that are my other 2 sons' animals that they're responsible for. Go potty. Go. They're going outside for their nighttime potties. Yeah, I like most animals. I probably wouldn't want ferrets because they just smell like pee. Like they look cool, but they always everyone I knew who had them, it always smelled like bad.
Well, I've seen this thing too where people like want otters for pets. Like they want,
dude, you'd have to have like a pond in your yard or something. They're cute, but I wouldn't keep them. They're water animals.
Well, you see people take like raccoons as pets now and squirrels.
That's so weird. Like,
I
mean, the raccoons are cute. Squirrels, I guess, I don't know. I wouldn't take them out of the wild though. They just they don't get past that. Like dogs are domesticated. They wouldn't exist as they do now if it wasn't that. Though cats are different, oddly enough. Like cats are supposedly not domesticated at all. In fact, most things you would consider a house cat are evolutionarily almost completely indifferent from what they were thousands of years ago in Egypt if you would have considered them wild. Like they've just associated with humans. So that's what I've heard somewhere before though, and I could believe it. Like like cats goes outside, kills stuff, comes inside.
Got a Rumble rant for that.
There we go.
But so we're on question number 2. This question number 2 is, if you could make one silly law that everyone had to follow, what would it be?
One silly law that everyone had to follow. There's plenty of laws I would make that aren't necessarily silly, but a silly one. Or
it could be ridiculous. Whatever one you want.
It's illegal to wear pants in the summer on Fridays. You know what? No, screw it. It's illegal to wear pants in the summer.
That sounds like it could go the wrong way, to be honest.
Well, no, okay. I'm saying you can wear something else, just not pants. You can wear shorts. You could wear swim trunks, but none of this pants shit. People in jeans in the dead of summer in July in Arizona, to me, are psychopaths. I don't trust them.
That's when you know you need to lock your doors at night. But
absolutely, it's like, how? You're dying. I know you're dying.
It's like, I can see you sweating on the outside. Your insides are burning.
Yeah, exactly. You are sweat everywhere.
This is question number 3, of course. Thank you to Big Black. What is something true that nobody agrees with you on? Ooh.
Well, that's not hard. Well, it is. I got it. Narrowing it down to one thing is the hardest thing here. Let's see. One thing that is true that nobody agrees with me on.
Yes.
I don't know. Some people agreed with me on the Digimon versus Pokemon thing. Let's see. One thing that is true that nobody agrees with me on.
See, this is where it gets difficult because you're trying to think.
It's tricky. I'm trying to think of like what is one like really specific thing that would be not agreed upon entirely. Yes, cilantro could go either way. I'm a big fan of cilantro in salads and in salsas. Miles Morales is Miles Morales. That ain't gonna. Peter Parker's the only Spider-Man. Again, it's hard to think of something that I'm very unique on, but I would say,
we can try another one if you want.
No, I think there's could be something there. I don't know if anybody disagrees with me on this, but I don't know that anybody does. But when it comes to root beers, Dad's root beer is the best root beer.
Ooh.
Oh, and oatmeal raisin cookies is the pinnacle of cookies. That's another one I've had.
Boo! 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 They're a lie. They're a lie.
I love me some oatmeal raisin cookies. That is my favorite.
I'll hand them to you because they're a lie for chocolate chip. Many times I've
picked
one up for a chocolate chip, and it's a lie.
You got to see it, though. It's always oatmeal cookies are never lying to you because they look like oatmeal on top. Just know it.
Yeah, but it's when they have the thing that looks like a chocolate chip. I'm like, oh, you better
be raisin. Though there is chocolate chip oatmeal. I've had them. Pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
Ooh, I've had oatmeal raisin with chocolate chips. It's like a raisinette cookie.
Oh my goodness! I've had raisinets. That's pretty good too. I did have one. It's not an oatmeal one, but there was one cookie I had that was like a white chocolate with like not I don't know. It was like a hazelnut, but it was like a macadamia. It was with like a macadamia nut. Oh my gosh! Oh, I'd take out the white chocolate, put a chocolate chip in. Oh my gosh! Oh, those were to cry over for. All right, if you want to talk about crying over food, the best food you'd ever try, peanut butter oatmeal cookies. All right, now that man's talking right there. Peanut butter oatmeal.
I could play that game. You could do that.
Add some chocolate chips
as long as you've got enough butter.
Yeah.
All the dryness is overcome.
Don't they make cookies? Oh, hey, ComixDad. Hey, what's
up, ComixDad? What's going on, man?
Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I can't buy them, have to make them. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Now, I would say, don't they have cookies that are just called butter cookies? I'm pretty sure there are cookies out there that are called butter cookies. At that point, you just...
Oddly enough, they're not like an oatmeal cookie with the right amount of butter could be gooey and chewy. Butter cookies, oddly enough, are usually drier, a little like flakier or something. I don't know. They crumble, or they're crumbly. At least in my experience.
The square chocolate thing. I don't know what they're called. Square chocolate thing. I'm not sure myself. I know I'm a chocoholic by nature, though, so there's that. But anyway, no more Rumble Rants. That means that is the end of the show. I know I'm ending it a little early because we are shortbreads. There we go. Shortbread cookies.
Oh, yeah. Shortbread, yeah.
Cookies. I've seen ginger cookies, but I've never butter shortbreads. Okay, butter shortbreads.
The ginger snaps are good.
I've never been a fan. The smell alone. I've tried a ginger snap once. I ginger snapped out of there. Um, but anyway, like I said, all links are down below for either or. Give this man a look, and if he's worth a follow, why not? I don't know if he what you'll. I know you're on YouTube, or I know you said earlier that you're on other people's channel, and you're sort of a little on your stuff. But whether you
Yeah,
get back into your stuff or not, just give him a look and see if he's worth that follow. Because I know a lot
there's
of
some silly things on there
yeah.
for sure.
I know a lot of content creators say go follow this person, but I really want the person's stuff to sell them, because they worked hard, they put their work into it. Why wouldn't their stuff sell to the people to have them follow? Not sell like that, but you get the idea. So, but again, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, the Goon Gamer. I'll have all those links out tonight because I usually try to get my stuff out the day before because some content creators do like an hour before or half hour before. And I'm just like, no, no. I'll give you the link a day before. Just don't forget where it is. And of course, thank you all for here in the chat. I know it's probably some of you are new, so I hope you'll stop by for next time. But it's basically is a conversational show. Oh, I think your camera's blinking. Yeah, I think. Oh, and his camera's gone. I think his mic should be on. But anyway, thank you all so much for being here in the chat. Whether it's your first time or not, this is a conversational show. It's what I've always done. And he might have to refresh. There we go. It's what I've always done. It's what I enjoy doing. And it's what I'll keep doing. I've had on over 200 various guests.
Oh, wow.
Creator and non-creator alike. And it's not, and that's really when they Goon Game. No, that's just his name. Goon Gamer is the name. But again, it's just reaching across different areas. I've talked to many different people, tech, all sorts of stuff, VTubers and whatnot. At the end of the day, it's just about conversation. There's no real requirement other than a mic. Can you post his channel? His links are down below in the description. Thanks, Big Black. But anyway, and of course, you're always welcome to come back there, Professor Savage Dad. I know you're a busy man because you're a wanted man. Not that way. You're a wanted man. You're a wanted man. But I do appreciate your time for coming on because that's always this thing that's in short supply, but has heavy weight of appreciation. I do thank you for that. So you're always welcome back.
No, it was a great conversation. I love just kind of getting to shoot the shit. It's nice.
Yeah. You don't know where it's gonna. You don't know where it's gonna start. You don't know what's gonna. Well, you know where it may end, but we don't want to talk about that. But anyway, guys, I end the show as like I did with the intro. I end the show with "One Day with You" by Pogo. Again, guys, 7 p.m. Eastern tomorrow with Goon Gamer. I shall see you all then. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Later.
Okay, here we go.